Hello everyone, welcome to our brand new series of live videos. I'll get into that in just a second. I'm just going to make sure that we're all connected up here on Instagram. There we go, perfect. Okay, so we're now starting with our new series. What the heck do you really know about seaweed? Which I thought was just perfect because, as I have explained in my lives recently, it's not talked about enough, and there are so many factors that go into seaweed that we just don't know about, like all these bioactives that I'm going to be talking about. So this is the first one, episode 1 on squalene. But as we continue, we'll obviously start off with this one as to start the series off, and then we'll further go into them and talk about them more and more, and there'll be different ones every time because there's so many that we can talk about. So the first one is squalene in our brand new series. So episode 1, I've got a little graphic here that I'll pop up for everyone, and while we just wait for more people to come on. So I thought, what better way to really get into talking about seaweed than to make a series on it and actually go really into depth on it and start going into the really small things in seaweed. And yeah, like I said, we're starting off with squalene. So it probably sounds like a really sciencey word, and you're like, what does that mean? Well, we're about to dive right into that, so don't you worry. I will explain what squalene is, where it can be found, which is really important. So yeah, to kick this off, some people might have heard of it before, especially in skincare, but what is it really, and where does it come from? So let's break it down. So squalene is a naturally occurring lipid, and I'll go into more detail about your lipid barrier during this live as well. So it's a fancy word for a fat-like compound, and it's actually something that your own body produces, and it's a key part of your sebum, so your skin's natural oil, and it helps to keep your skin hydrated, smooth, and protected. But as we age, our production of squalene drops off, and that's where skincare comes into it. So you're probably wondering as well, is squalene the same as sebum? But it is a component of sebum, so the oily substance in your skin naturally makes. So can you get enough of that from your body alone? Because like I was saying, your body does produce it, but eventually that will start to drop off as you get older, and your body won't be able to produce it as much, especially after your 30s, which is where skincare comes into it, because then you'll start using like a moisturizer or a serum that will do that for you. So instantly when I looked at it, when I saw that it could drop off after your 30s, I thought, is this to do with your hormones? Because why is it just stopping after your 30s? So then I researched, and I was like, okay, so why does it decrease after 30, Is it related to your hormones? And the answer was yes. So squalene production in your skin peaks in your early teens to your late teens to your early 20s. So I'm 25 now, so mine will probably start to decrease. So I'll have to start relying on moisturizers or a serum to do that for me, because my skin won't naturally produce that anymore as I'm getting older. And then obviously, like I say, it declines gradually with your age. And that is because your because of your sebaceous gland activity. So as we age, our oil glands then produce less of this sebum, which includes squalene. So this means that the skin becomes drier and it's less protected against environmental stresses, which, these days you kind of need. So, and as I was saying, is it linked to your hormones? So it's to do with like your hormonal shifts too. So your body's hormone production naturally slows down with age as well. And since squalene is part of the cholesterol to the hormone cascade, this affects the levels too. So I've got a little graphic here just explaining what I'm talking about, just so you can actually see it on a graph. So here you've got your squalene, which is your natural lipid, and then that goes to your cholesterol, your structural hormone base, and then it goes off to two different things. So your steroid hormones and your estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. So there it is linked, and that is why it is important to have it, because like I say, it's linked to these hormones here, so therefore you would need it. And that is its role in hormone production. And so oxidative stress and metabolic changes can also be linked to your squalene levels decreasing as you get older too. So aging increases the oxidative stress and can alter the pathways that produce squalene and other lipids in the skin. And here's what I was mentioning just before. You're probably thinking, what is a lipid barrier? As I just mentioned it. So I'll get an image of it up here because it is also good to see what it looks like, because I always think it looks like a brick wall, because it basically is, but for your skin. Because your skin cells are the bricks and the lipids, so the fat compounds, are the motor that holds it all together basically, and that is your lipid barrier that you can see here. So it's got your ceramide, your cholesterol, and your fatty acids included in that. So that is the outermost layer of your skin, which does a lot. So it locks in the hydration and it keeps out the irritants and the bacteria and the pollution. Like I was saying, it will be an environmental shield. And it helps maintain a healthy pH and microbiome on your skin too. So therefore you're not going to be getting breakouts from the bacteria that is getting on your skin. But here's the thing, if your lipid barrier gets damaged, you'll probably then start to notice that you're going to have dry or flaky skin. You've got redness or irritation, sensitivity, and even breakouts from imbalance. So this can happen from using harsh products or over exfoliating, the cold weather. So just like over winter time, you was probably started to notice that your skin was becoming more dry, or just that you're naturally aging. So the good news is that you can actually strengthen that lipid barrier with the right skincare. So you can use gentle, non-stripping cleansers. You can moisturize with things that have squalene in it, and be kind to your skin. So no aggressive scrubbing when you are using an exfoliator. And always wear sun protection as well, which is a key one as we're now starting to get into spring, and here in Souk it has actually been sunny and warm this week. But when your lipid barrier is strong, then you're going to start to notice that how good your skin feels. So it's going to feel soft and calm, and it literally is your skin's built-in shield, because if that's not good, then something's happening here. So if you're getting all of these things that I was saying, like the dry skin and breakouts, then you know that your lipid barrier is damaged. So most vitamins that your skin needs are like A, D, E, are fat soluble. So it's good for your lipid barrier, which is a fat compound to have those things. So that means that they're absorbed through the lipid layer and not water. So without a healthy lipid barrier, your skin can't properly soak up all the nourishing ingredients that you're giving it. So you're probably thinking, where does squalene come from? Because I've been talking about it just then and mentioning it a few times. I know you're probably starting to think, well, it hasn't actually mentioned where it's from yet. What has this got to do with seaweed? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Squalene can actually be found in seaweed, which is just mind-blowing because, like I say, there are so many things in seaweed that you don't even realize can be found in there, and squalene just happens to be one of them. So that's great because I was just mentioning all the things it can do for your lipid barrier just there, and it's great to know that it's found in seaweed. So I'll just get a little image up here, which is very similar to the background that I have got up above me and below me as well, and that is an image of seaweed. Because squalene can be found in it can be found in all types of seaweed, but specifically the brown algae are natural sources of this compound. So these seaweeds produce squalene as part of their protective structure, which makes sense considering they survive in harsh, ever-changing ocean environments. Because every part of the ocean around the world is always different, and there's definitely some harsh ones out there. So just so you can see, there is the same as my background as well. So you've got a zoomed in version of this image here of the seaweed. So back in the day, commercial squalene actually came from shark liver oil, which is not cool. I'll show you an image of that here because it's really interesting. When I was doing this research, that when I Googled squalene oil or sort of supplements, it came up with this, and a lot of the tubs and a lot of the images of the tubs had sharks on them, which I just couldn't believe, because you think in this day and age now, you wouldn't really think that it would still be happening. So it was quite interesting to realize how many people out there are still actually doing this. So millions of deep sea sharks are being killed for this, and that just doesn't align with my values, and especially here at C4. So as you can see, they were all like this image here. They all had sharks on because that's obviously where they're extracting it from. But I just was really shocked to know that they were also advertising that as well. But today, thanks to science and sustainable innovation, squalene is now being ethically sourced from plants, including olives, as well as seaweed, which was really interesting to know that you can find it not just in seaweed, but in olives as well. So you might have come across an image that looks like this too. And I know it says squalene on here, not squalene, but we'll go into that further into the lab as well, and I can explain the difference between squalene and squalene. So yeah, I thought it is great to know now that there are ethical ways to do this now, and you can get them from olives and seaweed, and we're not having to get it from sharks' livers anymore, because that is just really not cool. So you're probably thinking, why was shark liver used in the first place? And that's because it had high concentrations and it was cheap to extract and not having to pay lots of money to do this. But as I say, the cost to the ecosystem was massive, and it's not something that you really want to be doing, killing sharks just for their squalene in their liver. And how is seaweed better? Because it is fast growing. It doesn't need fresh water or fertilizer, and harvesting it actually improves the ocean biodiversity when done responsibly, and therefore you're not harming sharks. So I was actually curious what brands might still be unethically sourcing squalene still, because like I say, you would hope that in this day and age people weren't doing it anymore, but I just wanted to make sure if there was sort of like any bigger brands that we knew that were still doing this. So I asked ChatGPT to look into it for me, and it came back with saying that according to research from Shark Allies, they did some research into it and sort of tried to see if there were any big brands that were still using squalene from shark's liver in their products. And they said that they couldn't find full results, but what they did find was that these companies have been listing squalene as their ingredient in their products, but when they go to sort of clarify where they have sourced it from or what specific squalene that they're using, they aren't putting that in on their products. So they're marked as work in progress, meaning they're either in the process of clarifying or updating their source, or they haven't actually done that yet. So then it makes you think like, well, if they're not clarifying where they're getting it from, are they still getting it from shark's liver? Because why not just say where you're getting it from? And the brands that ChatGPT and Shark Allies have come up with are some big ones. So I'm going to name a few because they are big ones and they're the brands that people know and use and wouldn't really expect it from them. Like I say, I'm not Chat and Shark Allies are just saying that they haven't clarified where they've said that where they're sourcing it from. But so we have BioRepublic, CeraVe, Cetaphil, It Cosmetics, Maybelline, Neutrogena, Pixie, Revolution, Sephora Collection. So if you're wanting to avoid shark-sourced ingredients such as squalene, then the best bet is always to look at the back on the box and just see like where they're sourcing it from and make sure that it's ethically being sourced. And it'll either say like plant-based or vegan squalene. And obviously here at Seafloor, we're getting ours from Seaweed, so we know where we're getting ours from. But like I say, some of them aren't explaining where theirs are from. So now I have to get a little personal because this is something I deeply care about. So I have always been obsessed with sharks since I was like 7 years old, for as long as I can remember really. And I think they're the most beautiful creatures, but they're also really misunderstood. And my love for them was actually what got me into marine biology. So I have studied in Scotland for 4 years and have a degree in marine biology, and they're what got me into it. And it's a shame that throughout marine biology at uni we didn't learn about them as much as I'd like to, because when I was younger I was like, oh, I'm going to go to uni and I'm going to study them. It was the boring bits that you had to do first, but eventually we got into learning about sharks, and yeah, that is where my love for marine biology started, was because of my obsession with them. And obviously, because I was just saying there, they extract squalene from shark livers, and it's just not cool. So anytime I get to talk about sharks, I'm like, can't wait for an opportunity to actually start talking about them. But unfortunately, most of the time it's not a good reason, because they're being exploited when people use them to harvest squalene from their livers, like I was just explaining, and that practice still does happen in some places, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. What's even worse, which I'm just going to touch on, and I have previously in lives as well, is just because it's something that needs to be made aware of as well, because it is just as important and still is happening to this day too. It's shark finning. So it's when they cut their fins off for shark fin soup. and then throw them back into the water alive, and then they drown slowly because they can't swim without their fins, and that cruelty just destroys me. And if you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend, I'll get a little image up here of, just so you can see, I think it still is on Netflix, I think, but there is this documentary called Seaspiracy, and I recommend watching that because it is shocking, but it gives you an important look at what's happening to marine life and how overfishing is impacting our planet. And it just lets you know sort of what is still going on in the world with marine life. And I completely forgot to put my little image up of sharks while I was talking about them there, so I'll just quickly show you, because like I say, I love to get any chance to talk about them. So I've got a little image here of a great white shark. But it is not all doom and gloom. There are incredible charities and groups doing something about it, and in fact at Seaflora we proudly support 2 of them, and I have mentioned them before, but I will mention them again because they do an amazing job. So one of them is Souk Salmon Enhancement Society, and they help sustain salmon populations after the season ends so that the natural life cycle of them keeps going in our local waters here. And we have the Georgia Strait Alliance, and they do amazing work protecting whales and marine ecosystems in BC. Definitely check both of their Instagrams out, but I know, as I was saying in a previous live, there is a lot going on with Georgia Strait Alliance at the moment. All good, positive things are moving towards good permissions for sort of protecting whales at the moment, so that is amazing to see that they're doing so well at the moment. So there is hope, and I truly believe that if we all keep showing up for the ocean, whether it's through our choices, our voices, and our businesses, things can get better. It all starts with the ocean, and if we take care of it, we're not just helping marine life, but we're also fighting climate change too, which is really important. So yeah, sharks brought me here, and I'll never stop talking about them, even when it is hard, like today, explaining the whole Squalene situation. So as I was just mentioning before, when I was talking about the fact that Squalene can also be found in olives as a source, you saw on the bottle that it actually said Squalene. So you're probably thinking, what's the difference? And it's a great question because the 2 do get confused because there is only 1 letter difference in their name. So here it's actually all to do with the chemical structure as well, because we have Squalene, which, as I was just saying, it's only the difference of the letter, but Squalene with an E is the raw natural form, but it's unstable, so it oxidizes quickly. Whereas Squalene with an A is the hydrogenated stabilized version, which is used in skincare, and it's lightweight and deeply moisturizing. So when you see Squalene on a label, just know it started as Squalene, and it's been made shelf stable and safe for your skin into Squalene. So is one better than the other? Well, Squalene is better for skincare because it's stable and longer lasting. And you're probably maybe asking as well, is Squalene still natural? Because we were saying that Squalene can be sourced naturally, so we're thinking, is it still natural even though it has been oxidized and stabilized? Sorry, stabilized, not oxidized. And yes, it's derived from Squalenes, but it's just processed to be more skin and shelf friendly, so it still is natural. And also, while we have the chemical structure of these 2 up, I forgot that I had one of Squalene as well, just so in case you're interested in the science of that. So now I will explain the skin benefits of Squalene, because like I was just saying, it helps with your lipid barrier, therefore it's making your skin hydrated. So you're probably thinking, well, what are the actual skin benefits of squalene? So now for the fun stuff, the skin perks. We have that it's deep hydration, but just without the greasiness, and it strengthens the skin barrier, and it has antioxidant properties which helps fight free radicals. It reduces redness and irritation. It boosts elasticity, so your skin is going to be feeling tight but in a good way. And it's safe for all skin types, especially sensitive and acne prone. So basically, it's like giving your skin a big soothing hug. So you really probably want to be having squalene in your skincare. So I just mentioned that it is good for sensitive skin, and that's because it's non-irritating and often recommended for like eczema, rosacea, acne, and it's not going to make your face greasy because it's lightweight and it absorbs quickly. And can you use it with other things? Absolutely. It can buffer irritation from stronger actives and improve overall hydration. I will get into that more at the end as well. I've got a lot of vitamins and suggestions of what you can pair squalene with to make sure that you're really getting an overall benefit for your skin. So you're probably thinking, well, if it's in seaweed and Seaflora use seaweed in their skincare, what Seaflora products contains squalene? And you can find it in all of our products, but just to name a few, because I would be here for a while because we have a lot of products. I'll start off with the Deep Sea Facial Moisturizer. I'll get an image of that up here just so you know what it looks like. So it is in one of our moisturizer, well, it's in all of our products, but just to name 3 of them, it's in our Deep Sea Facial Moisturizer, which is lightweight and nutrient rich and great for all skin types. It is also in our Supreme Seaweed Facial Moisturizer, which targets mature, dry, or weathered skin. And it is also in our Rich Laminaria Facial Moisturizer. And I'll just get an image of that up as well, just so you can see what it looks like in case any of you are interested in that after this live. And it's our richest, most nourishing option for dry or dehydrated skin. So each one uses squalene derived from seaweed to mimic your skin's natural oils for balance, not buildup. Okay, so just to throw Seaweed in there, because like I was saying, it's very important because like I say, it's sourced from seaweed, and that is what we're using in our skincare products. So which one is right for you? If you're unsure, you can always DM us your skin type and we'll help match you, but we also have our skin quiz on our website. And if you go onto our website and fill that out, it will also come up with suggestions of what products are best for you too. And can you layer these with other Seaweed products like our serums or our everything oils? And yes, they play nicely with others, so don't ever worry about layering them up. So squalene is a lipid, not a vitamin or an enzyme, so it doesn't need cofactors in the same way that nutrients do, but it does perform better when it's part of a team. So like I was saying before, I was saying how retinol can go well with it. Well, there's also other ingredients that work well with it that you can maybe think about pairing together when you're putting it on your face. So we have ceramides and cholesterol, so these are your skin's natural fats, just like squalene. I was saying it is a fat compound for your lipid barrier. And together they rebuild and strengthen the lipid barrier, ideal for dry, aging, or compromised skin. So niacinamide, which is vitamin B3, helps regulate the oil, which reduces redness and supports your barrier repair. And pairing them with squalene and squalane is a dream team for calming and hydrating the skin. So we also have fatty acids like omega-3, 6, and 9, and they support the skin's natural moisture balance too. And when combined with squalane, they help lock in hydration longer. And vitamin E is another fat-soluble antioxidant that works well with squalene to protect against oxidative damage. Sort of like an environmental shield, so for the environmental stresses out there. They're both stable, and they're non-irritating and skin compatible. And just like I previously mentioned, squalene can help buffer retinoids, making them gentler. It reduces irritation and helps deliver vitamin A in deeper into the skin. So more information just about how that absorbs is because squalene is a biocompatible and fast absorbing. It's often used as a carrier to deliver other actives so that they can be absorbed deeper into the skin, especially fat soluble ones like vitamin A, vitamin D, and all the ones that I had just mentioned just there. And definitely CoQ10, which is really good for anti-aging. And there is a blog out on our website that really goes into, I haven't actually mentioned it sort of as a whole on a live yet, but I could do as one of an ideas for future live videos. But CoQ10, there is a blog on our website in case you're interested in knowing all about CoQ10 as well. That will go into a deeper level and explain that for you too. Talking about blogs, we actually have one coming up soon on squalene. So I just finished writing a super depth one all about it. Just like this live, I explain where it comes from, how it's sourced ethically, why seaweed is such an incredible alternative, and how your skin can benefit that. So that will be up soon on our website. I do blogs weekly, so I have posted one already this week, so it will be next week that it comes out. So check out our website next week and you will see that the squalene blog will be up ready for you to read. So you've already watched this live and then you also get to read a blog about it, and just in case that has any more extra information that I might have missed out, or in case you missed this live and you want to know about squalene, there will be a blog coming out on it too. So just to geek out a little bit more about squalene, just to go into more information, I was saying it's a precursor to cholesterol and steroid hormones before when I showed you that graph, and vitamin D synthesis in the body. It helps maintain membrane fluidity in skin cells and assist the skin to regenerate. So it's you're always getting that cell renewal, that you're not got old dead skin cells on your skin. So I was just saying there, cell turnover, does it help with that? Indirectly, yes. It supports a healthy lipid matrix and barrier function, which are essential for proper skin regeneration. So this helps answer any confusion on product layering. So should you apply squalene before or after a serum? It's always after. So think of it as a sealing moisturizer. So always apply it as your last step, or if you're wearing sunscreen, then it would be your second to last step. And how is this any different to other facial products, such as oils? It's a lighter and more similar to your skin's natural oil, because as I was saying, it is mimicking the natural oil in your skin. So it means that there's less of a chance of breakouts, congestion, or a greasy feeling. So you're probably thinking, as I was just explaining that squalene is ethically sourced, you're probably wondering, like, how do we go about sourcing it ethically because it is from our seaweed. So I just thought I would also mention that in general, it's often EcoCert approved, biodegradable, and involves zero animal harm. As I was saying, if you're getting it from seaweed and olives instead of shark livers, as I was saying before, minimal water use and deforestation, and at Seafloor is Squalene certified sustainable. And yes, it is, because when we harvest our seaweed, it is being sustainably harvested, because we work closely with First Nations so that we know that it is being sustainably done. Therefore, if that's sustainably done, that is where we get our squalene from. So yeah, our squalene is sustainably sourced. And now I've just been mentioning sort of like how squalene is in skincare products. You're probably wondering, does it ever expire? Because skincare products will eventually expire. So you're thinking, if it's in your skincare products, when does it expire? It has a longer shelf life than most oils, and usually up to 2 years. Our moisturizers are also freshly made in small batches to ensure its potency. And you're probably wondering, because I was saying you can layer it up, can you overdo it on your skin? Not really, because it is very gentle and non-greasy. But if you're layering a lot of other products, your skin might feel heavy or over moisturized. So it's just personal preference. If you feel that your skin is feeling heavy and feeling like you've got like a bit tacky, you've got too much on, listen to your skin. But with all of our Seaweed products, none of them are going to sort of give you that feeling. But it, like I said, it just depends how many layers you are putting it on. Eventually it will start to feel a bit weird. So just always listen to your skin. If it's too much, just put less on in the future. Will it clog your pores? No, because it has a comedogenic. I can never say this word. I've been trying to say it this whole live and I just keep skipping over it because I'm like, I cannot say this word. Comedogenic rating of 0. So it makes it even more ideal for acne prone skin, because I know that a lot of people, they have oily skin, so therefore they worry about sort of wearing a moisturizer in case that's going to make their skin more greasy. But even when you have oily skin, you still need to be moisturizing, because it is going to help balance the pH of your skin. And you'll actually find that moisturizing might, even though you have oily skin, might actually get rid of your breakouts. I know I always thought that. I was like, I've got oily skin, I'm never moisturizing, I don't need moisturizer, this is going to make my skin even worse. But then I was getting more breakouts because my pH balance wasn't perfect and it was imbalanced. And then when I started moisturizing, my face cleared right up. So that was the problem, the solution to my problem. And then you worry if you're having sort of greasy skin and oily, are your pores going to get clogged up? But the answer to that is no. So I think I've pretty much mentioned everything I was going to about squalene today. So that is your crash course on squalene, which was a great kickoff to start our new series. From sharks to olives to seaweed, it's come a long way over these last nearly 40 minutes now, and now it's in your skincare, sustainably, ethically, and beautifully. And if you've learned something today, feel free to drop a little emoji in the chat just to let me know that if you found it interesting. Like I say, this is the first one that we've done in the series that I will be starting. This was episode 1 on squalene. So the series, in case anyone missed it from the start, is what the heck do you really know about seaweed? So we were starting off with squalene, and like I said at the start of this, we will be going into more of them now, more about these bioactives that you can find in seaweed and like the vitamins and the minerals, and just get down to sort of like the small details about seaweed, just because people don't know enough about seaweed in general, especially when you go down to this level of detail and then really cut apart and figure out what is in seaweed, like squalene. People don't know that. So I certainly didn't know before this research that I'm writing the blog that squalene was found in sharks' livers. So that was interesting to know that, especially as I am a big shark lover. And it was interesting to know and really hopeful to know that now there is an ethical way you can get squalene, not from shark's liver, like in seaweed and olives. And it's great to know that that is the way forward. So yeah, thank you very much for joining this live video on squalene, and I cannot wait to be continuing this series and going ahead with more of the bioactives in seaweed, and to really take this deeper and further, and for you to come on this journey with me to learn more about seaweed. It's super interesting, and I'm super proud to be working at C4, learning all this about seaweed and then passing this information on to you guys so that you're aware, and we just get more knowledgeable about this tiny little thing that no one had any idea all of this did. So it's amazing how many big benefits you get from this small thing that you don't even realize. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this live video on squalene. And out of all of my lives so far, I think this has been my favorite because it was super interesting. I got to talk about sharks, which are my favorite things, and I learned a lot about this one. It was really interesting. So I think this one has been my favorite live video so far, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you continue to come on this journey with me as I dive deeper into seaweed. And stay tuned on our social media, our Instagram and Facebook stories and posts, where I will be letting you know what the next episode in the series, so episode 2, will be about. Yeah, so it's going to be every Tuesday. Our live videos will continue to be every Tuesday at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is BC time, so I don't know whereabouts in the world people are. It might be slightly different for you, but it'll be 1:30 BC time every Tuesday afternoon. So stay tuned for the next one. I'll be posting about that at the end of the week, what it's going to be about. And yeah, thank you very much for joining this live video. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you miss this live, it is recorded, and I will put it out as a post, just so that if you miss watching it or you've come in halfway through or whatever, you can watch the whole thing afterwards. On Instagram and Facebook, it is recorded, so I'll post it on there afterwards. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I can't see any questions in the comments, but if you have any sort of after you've watched this, if you're watching the recorded version, feel free to message us on Instagram and Facebook with your questions, and I can answer them there. Or if it's any sort of topics that you would like me to do. I know I'm going to be doing my series of bioactives, but just in case you guys had any more that were more interesting, or you would find more interesting, or you would find you know of a bioactive in seaweed that you'd like me to do a live video on, let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you very much.